Next on the program, from New Zealand, we have one of the best surprises in the world stuttering community. She emerged on the scene a couple years ago, and she has just been a pleasure, just a joy. It gives me great pleasure to introduce Phyllis Edwards.
Thank you. Can I start off though by saying that the reason I'm here is that all of the pages are amazing, as you'll hear, but the world stammering provided for me experiences where I could really grow and reach out. And it's also a comfort at the moment to know that people like you guys and Pamela and Daniel Rossi are all around me too. Right, I can start now and say thank you guys. This is the story of how I was finally proud to look in the mirror. And my name is Phyllis Edwards. Can I just say how encouraging it is to be able to listen to other people share their thoughts and experiences in the safe and interactive environment of StutterFest, organised by Tom Trisha and their team by World Stuttering Network. And I am excited and a wee bit apprehensive, but more excited to have the opportunity to share an experience I had with many twists and turns. From a really young age, I was frightened to look in the mirror, and this experience has taken me to now being a woman with a stammer who is able to look in the mirror and feel proud. This journey began to gather speed when I discovered the computer later in life with the patience of one of my sons and my supportive husband. I was able to browse on it, and to my amazement, I discovered Facebook community groups where people who just happened to have a stammer were supporting and encouraging each other and just getting on with their lives, fulfilling their goals and dreams. One day, while I was looking at these amazing stammering community Facebook groups, I saw Tom, the chairman of World Stuttering Network, interviewing a New Zealand man who happened to have a stutter. His name was Cody Packer, and it was the first time I had seen a New Zealand man on these pages or anywhere really who had a stutter. So I messaged Cody and we remain in contact. Cody is always supportive and encouraged me to continue to write reflections on my thoughts and experiences such as StutterFest. 2 years later, I noticed Cody was offering a course called Reconnecting with Your Inner Child, and this caught my interest, although at the start I was doubtful and apprehensive about taking on this course in case I stirred up old memories, as I had just been starting through these pages to gain acceptance of myself. But the course details caught my eye and my heart, and I saw we would be encouraged to express ourselves in a variety of ways, including writing letters to our inner child. Seeing this information made me realise how much I needed and wanted to do this inner child course. During the course, as I was writing letters to my inner child, a memory from my childhood rose to the surface, and it wouldn't let me push it away no matter how hard I tried. So I knew that I needed to write about it. Although I hadn't realised it at the time, the strong memory came back to me is the only way I remembered being able to control myself, being able to comfort myself as a child. I want to acknowledge that way back then, families didn't get much support if they had a family member with a stammer. As a child, whenever I wanted to share about a special flower I had found growing in the garden, or ask a question about an insect I was holding gently in my hand, I just couldn't get my words out, and I'd try so hard and my whole face would just tighten up. And I overheard people who were probably only trying to help me saying that they were worried if I didn't learn to speak properly, I might end up having a face that looked like a screw. I didn't want to look in the mirror just in case that they were right. I felt so sad to hear these comments. I would go away and just scribble lots of red lines on a paper, and the joy of just getting out my feelings and then tearing up that paper already wet with tears and secretly flushing it down the toilet or throwing it in the river. This was enough to give me hope to keep on trying to talk. As an adult, although I knew I was loved as a mother, wife and friend and surrounded by people who loved and believed in me, I never stopped trying to be the best mother, wife, teacher and friend I could be. I have to admit, though, I avoided that mirror any way I could, but I was always determined that although my children had a mother with a stammer, that they would grow up having lots of adventures and happy memories. In the back of my mind, I knew you could plan lots of fun and adventures, and you never even needed to involve a mirror. An example was one day we went to the fish and chip shop to buy lunch to take to the park. I started to order our lunch, and I'd ordered it lots of times with no problem, but this day there was a new man who was trying very hard to be helpful. He just kept repeating what I was ordering, and I just kept repeating it back as I could see he was trying very hard to help me. As a result, our order grew bigger and bigger, and in the end we made it to the park, and I spread out on the table what looked like a very large amount of fish and chips. But it wasn't long, and we had some welcome visitors. We invited them to stay, and our happy group just kept growing. Among the visitors was an elderly lady walking her dog and a lady looking for her lost cat. Then we had an interesting chat with an elderly man who had wandered over, as he said, to say hello to our lovely family. He shared about the adventures he had been on as a boy. We all had such a happy time that night. I wrote out a little memory story about our adventure. As I grew older, lots of good stuff happened, and I was lucky enough to be able to follow my goal of being an early childhood teacher. The children, their parents, and my colleagues all showed me so much acceptance and love. And then there are my angel girl group, as I like to call them, and they are friends who have been encouraging and supportive right from my young mother days. And also these pages and my lovely supportive husband and sons. But I still found it really hard to acknowledge past memories. So through this course and the letters I wrote to my inner child, and now in this reflection on here, I am able to acknowledge how much I had allowed one negative memory to impact my life and self-esteem for so long. Once I acknowledged this memory, I found it was quickly replaced by a sense of growth and self-esteem, amazement and enlightenment. And I am so grateful for all that I gained and learned by taking part in this course. And at our final meeting of the course, Cody gave us our last task, which was to look in the mirror and look yourself in the eyes and say to yourself, I love you, Phyllis, and I'm so proud of everything you've been through. I thought this will be interesting. I don't really want to do this. But having been inspired by the growth and the positive benefits I had already experienced in taking part in this course, I went and looked in the mirror. Well, much to my surprise and excitement, I saw a happy older lady with lots of wrinkles and a twinkle in her eye. After telling myself out loud how proud I was of myself, I rushed back into the Zoom meeting. I jumped around and I felt so proud and happy and relieved. But the surprises that my rising self-esteem had in store for me didn't stop there. A couple of weeks later, I went for my planned appointment at my home hairdresser's. I had been telling Nadine how I had found this course so liberating and freeing, and how I felt that the combined experience of the inner child course, of taking part in the Facebook communities, all the inspiring people, and of StammerFest and all those Stammer who allow you a place to reflect your experience by encouraging you to write it down. I shared with Nadine these things had helped my self-confidence and my experience. Nadine listened, as she does so well, and then said, oh, your hair's all done now. And as I went to move off of the chair, I got such a fright as suddenly this random idea popped very loudly and vividly into my head. I thought, I can't go home yet. I have to look in the mirror. Well, I almost died of fright as I was so surprised, but I just knew that I wanted and needed to do this. I felt safe in the best supportive environment that our lovely hairdresser creates. And so I looked in the mirror and then again I jumped up and down and I said, oh, look at me, I do look so good. And yes, my wanting to look in the mirror caught me by surprise, and I became very emotional, but I just felt so good and so proud. And I felt a great big load had been lifted, and I can't believe I had to get to this age to feel these emotions, but all sorts of good other things have happened and lots of lovely people have helped. And so thank you all, as without the support and encouragement and love of all of you, I certainly wouldn't be sitting here sharing this today. Love you, thank you. Oh! Donald, it's on mute. I think it's Donald.
It is. Who's on mute?
I think it's on mute.
No, it's not.
Phyllis,
okay.
thank you. Thank you for straightening me out technically. Loved hearing your story. Thank you. I mean, you popped in on the scene a couple years ago, and like I said, you are a joy to our world stuttering community. Thank you to your husband. Thank you to your son for helping you with the tech. Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing Phyllis with us. She's an inspiration.
That's great.
But
Yes.
without your group, I'd never have reached it. As it's the experiences, which even though they might be scary and that, and you guys are so supportive. And so, thank you, all of you.